Hi, everyone. This is an episode of Irv and Co with a special guest, Samantha Caballero. She is a full-time entrepreneur and the creator of her successful mobile business, Swim with Sam, LLC, and Startup with Sam. She truly cares about her community, and she's on the path to help her business owners, the local business owners like me and others, as well, to embark on their journey, their business journey for success. So we'll welcome to the show Samantha. Say hello
Hi.
to the people.
Hey, everybody. I'm so excited to be on today.
You're welcome. We appreciate you for taking the time to share your experiences and your time with us. Tell the people a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Samantha Caballero. Everyone calls me Sam. I am a swim instructor. I've been teaching people to swim since I was 10 years old. And I own a mobile swim lesson company in South Florida. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hold on. Yeah.
Go ahead. She had to take care of something.
I own my mobile swim school in South Florida called Swim with Sam, where we provide high quality swim lessons in the comfort of your own home. We don't believe in just teaching people how to move their arms and legs, but truly how to master the water and eliminate fear, because if we aren't equipped with actually knowing how to swim properly, when a situation comes up, we won't be able to get out at all. I try to explain to people in the situation, if you know the difference between knowing how to drive and just being able to whip in a parking lot. Yeah, you can whip in a parking lot and that's cute, but can you actually get on the highway or be in Hialeah and rush hour traffic and actually drive? Yeah, that's the difference in our swim lessons. We teach you to actually swim. My second business, I started doing business consulting for aspiring or new business owners, because I just remembered how I was 2.5 years ago. I was a mess. I had dreams, I had goals, I had the passion. I knew I could make money, but I just didn't know what I was doing. And I remember feeling so lost and trying to connect and trying to find people. And I know how to find my resources, or at least keep trying until I do find them. But some people don't, and they don't know where to start. And sometimes they just don't even know how to get out of their head. So I started to provide consulting and providing resources and free calls so that people who were interested in launching a business, who wanted to change their life, can actually do it and start and have that experience and feel as though they have someone who can be their partner and their backbone. Because when you do something like this alone, it's really, really scary. And I completely understand. And I was like, I just want to be someone's backbone or everyone's backbone, whoever may need me, at least in this beginning phase, to just get off the ground. Because that's all the help that we usually need.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to take it back real quick. You say you started swimming at 10, start teaching swimming at 10. What really got you into swimming like that? At such a young age even?
Funny fact, I actually used to have a really serious phobia of the water.
What?
My mom said when I was born, she would put me on the bed and, go turn the water on the sink to give me a little sink bath. And the second the water turned on, I would scream. I never liked taking a bath. I was a dirty little kid. I was like, I don't need to take a bath. I'm fine. I was dirty. So, and I couldn't swim, obviously, because I'm not even going more than ankle deep in the ocean when we did go. So she put me in swim lessons at my local park. And she would put me in them every summer for a couple of years. She was, back in the 90s, you could just drop kids off at the pool for hours, just pick them up later. And she would drop me off during public swims to just get acquainted with the water and feeling more comfortable. And then around, I say about 6, no, maybe 8. I actually knew how to swim now. After the swim lessons, I had learned every stroke, and I could just done it so often. And they asked me to join swim team, and I was like, I don't want to compete. I just like swimming. But I did it because I just wanted to continue swimming. And one day after practice, I saw 2 little girls who were in the shallow end. One was 6, I think one was 5, and they were sisters. And I could tell they couldn't swim. They're holding the wall, just bouncing up and down, obviously scared. So I just swam over to them and I asked if they wanted to learn how to swim. I was 10 years old at the time. And I asked the mom, would you like me to teach your daughters how to swim? And so every day after swim practice, I think I had practice from 4 to 6. And then from 6 to 7, I would swim over to them and give them a swim lesson 5 days a week.
Wow.
And after 2 months, one of the oldest girl, I never forget, her name was Israel. She swam so well that she actually joined swim team with me. And when we had like our next meet, she won first place in her division. And I was so proud. So that was kind of like the first time that I knew I could teach and actually doing it in swim lessons. And I had done it several times after that. It was just not necessarily a personal desire, but I saw the need and I filled it.
I got you. Well, a question for you. So when you once you got the confidence to swim and you learned how to do everything, is that really where you was like your fear of swim or fear of the water kind of dissipated, or that it kind of left before that?
You know, it was so long ago. Well, I do know that I was going to the pool pretty regularly. Mm-hmm. Even prior to some lessons, she would just drop me off and pick me up hours later. So, you know, I definitely wanted to go. I guess, you know, having kids at the pool really made a huge difference. Mm-hmm. And so I saw it more as playtime rather than an activity of fear. Mm-hmm. And so I think just being acclimated to other kids being in the pool and splashing and seeing it as a extracurricular activity really kind of transformed the idea of the water. And then, you know, happened to put me in some lessons for the safety aspect.
I got you.
Yeah.
I don't want to hog you. So Amanda, you got anything before I I'll just keep going.
This is true. You did all the swimming. I wanted to ask you about your story, how you started your business, how was the journey, and tell me a little bit about that.
Oh man, that's a messy story, Amanda.
I know. Tell our people. Tell it how hard it is.
You know, I tell people all the time that everyone like glamorizes and glorifies entrepreneurship. You know, that people who do this are people who are go-getters, and you know, they don't want to work for the man, and they just do it and they just jump and like they quit their job and just walk out like, I don't need this. I wouldn't say that's necessarily true. I never wanted to own a business. I never wanted to do anything on my own. I told my mom that I want to work for people for the rest of my life until I die. And those words came out. And I actually wanted to work a nonprofit because I had no desire in making a lot of money. I just wanted to be able to pay my bills, maybe take a vacation or two, and I was cool. I just like to serve people. Like I want to work in a field where I feel as though I'm making a difference. I am influencing people and creating opportunity for communities of Black in whatever capacity that meant. And that was my desire. I knew that I wouldn't be rich working in nonprofit, but I didn't care. You know, I guess the highest goal that I ever had in the career field that I desired was to be like an executive director of a nonprofit. I shortly, for a very, very short time, desired to go to law school, but it wasn't to be a private defender. It was just for the clout so that I can work a nonprofit and actually make a difference and have a little bit more legal knowledge. Again, I had no desire in making money. And when I was finishing school, maybe towards my latter year, I was just working jobs to make money because the girl had a car note and they weren't going to take my car. And I was working like this customer service job that I really, really hated, but I was applying to jobs nonstop because I really wanted just like this. I finally wanted this full-time job where I felt like this is the start of my career. This isn't just a job for money, but I can go somewhere. And I got a job at a nonprofit. Oh man, I quit my job like the next day. I was like, I'm done. I'm out. I know I don't start till next week, but I don't need y'all because y'all don't care about me anyway. So I was so excited. Like I remember I dressed, you know, at nonprofits, you don't need necessarily dress in professional attire. You can come in sneakers, but I was like, I had my heels, I had my pantsuits, everything was ironed. Like I wore makeup, maybe not this, but I wear makeup every day. Like I put in the effort because I believed in that concept of dress for the job you want, not the job that you have. And one day I knew I was going to run a nonprofit. So I need to look like I run a nonprofit and you should give me money. Like that's what I wanted. And it was a nonprofit that worked with children to help them finish their service hours for high school. And so in our nonprofit, we would have the kids work at another nonprofit. Like every day is a little bit different, almost like a summer camp in a sense, as well as a summertime. And I remember I started like a week before they started this like summer camp, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, the first week was just training. And the second week, we're actually going to start. We're going to go to the summer. We were going to this nonprofit program. It was a ranch of some sort. And we're just cleaning up. So we get there, we had to wear jeans. And it's hot in South Florida.
Oh boy, it's hot.
I wore jeans and a t-shirt. I did not wear a hat because I have a lot of hair and I don't really wear hats because they don't fit. But I was working in the sun for a very long time. And prior to that, my experience in the sun was usually in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And so being in the sun for 10 hours with no hat and not enough water put me in a very interesting situation when I came home that night and I was suffering from heat exhaustion. I thought I was having a heat stroke. Like I literally woke up coughing and couldn't breathe. Like I'm like drooling. I'm dizzy. I'm throwing up. Like I'm like, do I need to go to the hospital? Took some ibuprofen, knocked out. But the next day I still feel dizzy. I still have these symptoms. So I called my boss. I was like, hey, I'm really not doing well. I think I'm suffering from this. I don't think I can come in. And her next words were, oh, so you can't handle this?
Oh.
And I just never felt so disrespected. Like it felt so out of character. Like,
right.
Why would you say that? If in the interview you said I was overqualified, like I didn't. Anywho, I never forget that day. I was so upset. And I said, you know what? I'm going to come in anyway. So I live in Miami and the program is in like Southern Broward, but where we were taking the kids was in like Oakland Park. So I go to Southern Broward, park the car, we get on the bus with the kids, go to Oakland Park to do our second community service activity. I definitely was driving like discombobulated, risking it all because I'm like, you ain't gonna tell me I can't do this job. I'm gonna do this job. Because I wanted the salary. I ain't never had a salary job before that. Salary, I'll do the work. And so, when I get there, I have to take the bus. My director had showed up. I'm like, what you doing here? She was like, Sam, having you here is actually a liability for us. So you should probably go home. I know you don't feel well. And I was like, so when I told you I don't think I should come in because I don't feel well, and I'm like, I didn't drive here. Like I took the bus. She goes, well, I'm like, at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday from Miami?
Wow.
So I had a family member, had to wait like an hour outside, and she eventually came pick me up. My boss said, it was Tuesday, she said, come back on Friday. And I just knew in my spirit, I was like, I'm going to get fired. I felt it. And my pride was so crushed. I was so down. And, those couple of days I just really started thinking, maybe like a couple months before I started this job, my mom had told me, Sam, you should start a business. I was like, ew, no. She's like, you should do your swimming. And I'm like, for what? Like, swimming is something I had just done very passively before college, in and out of college. It's like, it's a job if I needed money. I did have like these cards that just said, again, nothing official. Literally just said private swim lessons, my name, my number, and it had like water droplets on the back. Nothing important. Just in case people asked about swim lessons, I would do it for free. And I'm just like, here, take my card, because I thought I just looked better than a stranger. And so, I just thought, I'm like, man, if I get fired, I'm just going to take this swimming seriously. And that's all I said. I didn't really give much thought to it. I was just like, this is just what I'm going to do. And my boss texted was like, hey, you can come in on Friday. I said, great, I'll be there at 8 a.m. And then she strolls in at 10 a.m., knowing that she told me to come at 8 a.m., right? And puts me in her office and just straight says, we're just going to have to let you go.
Wow.
And because I knew she was going to fire me at 10, I had already packed my purse with all the free t-shirts and all the office supplies because I knew she was going to do something crazy like that.
You came prepared. You definitely came prepared.
And she didn't even give me like an opportunity to talk about it or like give it, like, there was just no second chance. And I'm like, okay. So she escorted me back to my desk.
Wow.
Escorted, walked right next to, like she was right here to grab my stuff and walked me out the building.
Wow.
So I got in my car with all my free t-shirts and my purse. And I cried for about 15 minutes because I'm like, I have no career. I got into the nonprofit and it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
What's next? I'm about to graduate college. Obviously, for some reason, I'm not a good candidate for a job. I just don't, I mean, I have experience. I just didn't get it. And I said, okay. So dried up my tears with my napkins, the free napkins I keep in my car, that I steal from Dunkin' Donuts. And I had the cards that I was telling you about in my trunk. And there was an Office Depot across the street.
Mm-hmm.
I drove to Office Depot and I got a pack of thumbtacks, cost me $4, overpriced. And I started posting my card up where I could. Like I literally just drove down Oakland Park Boulevard. Anywhere there was somewhere to put it up, I would put it up. If it was a hair supply store, if it was a restaurant, anywhere I could put a card, and I just didn't. I think I did that for like 2 hours.
That's smart.
And then I got tired and I went home and I was like, all right, I'm gonna start a business. And I Googled, how do you start a business? Because I have no experience. I'm second generation American. Like, we work. That's just it.
Yep.
You know? So my mom was the first person to get a college degree. She still worked. So I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do? And they said, you have to register your business. So I just Googled how to register a business in Florida. The SunBiz website came up with the state of Florida. And as I was thinking about a name, I'm just not really a creative person like that when it comes to names. I'm just like, Swim with Sam, makes sense. And I filled out the form and it cost me $125. And I filed it at 2 p.m. I never forget. I got fired at 10. By 2 p.m. I had registered. And the whole weekend, I'm like, all right, what does a business mean? So I was like, I need to have, and I thought about it. I didn't really look this up. I more so thought about it. I'm like, okay, when I think of a business, what do they need to have? They need a website. They need business cards. They obviously have to have some sort of like social media page. And I just think about what are these credentials that I think make a legitimate professional company. I never thought of it as like a side business or a hustle. Like I want to have a company. So I started working on a website. You know, I'm no graphic designer. I think I made like 4 flyers in college, like really nothing crazy. But I was just trying, and I built like this 1-page website that I was working on. I looked up where to get a logo done for the low, and I went to Fiverr. My logo was raggedy, the first one, but it worked. That's all that mattered.
Hey, that's
I
all that
I had
remember
matters.
it on Google. I was just looking up everything. I secured my social media sites. And again, I got fired on a Friday. By Monday morning, my business, I got the email that the paperwork was finalized. And I'm like, wow, I'm an entrepreneur now. And I
That's what's
remember
up.
Monday morning, I woke up like I'm laying down. I remember I sat up so fast, I was like, oh, I'm late. And I'm like, oh, right.
For what?
Like,
Yeah, you work for
I
yourself.
will never forget that. It was so dramatic. It was as if that's like a scene in a movie. It was so funny. And I remember I just laid back down. I went right back to sleep. Like, you shouldn't do that, but that's what I did that day. And yeah, so for 30 days after I got fired, I was just working on presenting my business to the world. I'm no social media mogul. I don't really care about Instagram like that. It's whatever. But I worked on my website. I worked on my logo. I just wanted everything to look good. So when I did come out and say, hey, y'all, this is what I do now, that when they look at it, there's actually something there.
Yeah.
And I remember when I did my launch, I even created, because again, I teach swimming regularly as a side thing. So even when I got fired from that job, I was already teaching someone how to swim because I've just been doing it for so long. And so I would say, hey, I need to take photos of you now. You know, I tell my family, like, hey, bring your kids to this pool because we need to do a little photo shoot because I'm trying to do some stuff. You know, I would make videos. I had a friend who was a photographer. She took my headshots. And I had this little like promotional video, which was just a compilation that I made on my phone on like iMovie of just different people swimming put together one after the other and some little background music. And it had my logo in the front, a bunch of people swimming, my logo at the end. That was it.
Hey, you say you weren't creative. That's still creative. What you mean? That's
I
creative.
made it work. And I just remember I said one day on my Facebook, my Instagram, that's all I have. I don't do Twitter. I don't know no famous people. I was just like, this is what I do, y'all. Here's a video. I teach swimming. Follow my page now. And I remember like that video got like over 500 views. I was like, y'all cool. Because people were actually sharing it. It's really, really
That's what's up.
exciting. And
That's what's up.
when I launched the website that day, I launched it in the morning. 12 hours later, I got my first inquiry on my website from a complete stranger to do some lessons. And I'll never forget. Because it's different having your friends purchase your product or your service versus a random stranger who has no connection to you or your friends, who just happens to find you like, I want to give you money.
Yeah.
It was a really different experience. And that's how I got started.
Is that like that first interaction with that first customer, was that like the motivation you needed to keep going? Like, I'm sure you weren't hesitant to keep going, but I'm sure that definitely made you be like, I can do this.
It definitely hyped me up. I was shocked. I saw that email. I was like, who is this? Is it? And I remember I was knocking on your door. Anyone like that. I was definitely excited. I was screaming. I was like, I just got a stranger. Like, that was my first thought. It was definitely exciting. I think the motivation factor for me, and this is something that I know we'll get into later as we do this podcast, but I know that I knew that my field was, I could already make money off of it. Like, I've done this for a long time. I know that this has the possibility of making a lot of money because there are multi-million-dollar companies that do what I do, you know? And I had been doing some lessons with no kind of clout, no kind of information behind me at all. People gave me money. So why wouldn't they do it when I'm actually registered and legal and I have business insurance now?
Yeah.
So I didn't feel like it was so much of a risk because I wasn't trying something new, wasn't doing something different. I was doing something that I'm already good at, that I had over 10 years of experience in.
Yeah.
And I could give you the information. I could give you the background. I can give you my certifications. It wasn't like, hey, I just started making pottery. Trust me. No. And that's something that I tell people. I'm like, yo, do something that's in your field that makes sense. Because when you do something that's not weird, but it's different, it looks weird. And even if I'm your friend, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to question. I'm like, when did you start doing that?
Yeah.
You know, and some people don't think about that. They think that like, oh, doing something new is exciting. Yes, as a hobby. But as a business, you have to understand that you want strangers to feel comfortable with you enough to give you their credit card number. And that's a really serious concept that we don't always think about. So I wasn't really nervous. I was just ready to get started because I'm like, yeah, I ain't got no job now, so I'm gonna need this money.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I got a question for you. You said earlier, you were saying that money wasn't a big issue for you. Like, you wasn't like working, you didn't go to school to make money. It was like you wanted to work for a nonprofit. Was that something instilled in you when you were growing up? Like, where did that come from?
No, because I grew up poor, and most poor people want to be rich.
Or look it.
This day, poor people still want to be rich. I just never found extreme value in materialistic things or having a lot of money. I'm a person who believes in equality, and I'm not talking about like, I don't want to not be PC right now, but I'm not talking about rights for all in every single capacity. It's not what I'm talking about. I just truly believe that as human beings, we should all be treated the same. I really believe in fairness and equality. Like, I never looked at someone, even as a child, like just because like students who had disabilities or students who had like deformities, I remember that always just be picked on at school, but it didn't matter to me. Like, I just really didn't care. And it really actually bothers me when people treat people differently in a negative way because of something about them that they don't like, or people praise someone because of something that they have. It really disgusts me. Like, as a side note, I don't like the real like light-skinned boys, the skinny, like the pretty boy thing, because it bothers me that a community finds you hyper attractive because of a trait that you can't help, and you use that as clout.
Yeah.
When we're all people.
I can definitely see that. Yeah.
Serving people is just a matter of helping people who are lower get back on the same playing field that they were entitled to from the jump.
Yeah.
That's really why I did it. So money didn't make a difference to me. Like, rich people don't impress me.
So, but
Pretty people don't impress me.
if money was to come your way, you wouldn't turn it away though.
No, I got bills. But that's what I said in the beginning. I said that I just want enough to pay my bills.
You did.
The rest is really whatever.
And take a couple of vacations from time to time.
Sometimes you need a vacation. And when we talk about time management and self-care, listen, I'm gonna tell you how I definitely was doing some of that. But yeah, just because there's a lot of research that's done on happiness, and happiness is and money and how they intersect. That once you make enough money to be secure, and everyone's concept of secure is different. Like, some people think that $50,000 is a lot. It's not. You gave me $50,000 right now, I will blow it in 2 minutes and still have debt. So trust me, it's not a lot. Security, and whatever that capacity that is for you, once you reach that and you have enough money to cover your bills and maintain your lifestyle, you recognize your happiness scale actually will not increase. We believe it does because we buy materialistic things with that, but there's plenty of research, and I believe the movie is called Happy or Happiness, something like that. But that movie explains this concept that our happiness is not dependent on our finances. And when I recognize, actually in my walk of faith, that joy doesn't come with what I have, but with who I am and who is inside me. Ooh. So I can be poor, I can struggle, I can be in car accidents and like all these things. I can have, a big cut on the side of my face, but I still have joy. So there have been times when like I knew I didn't pay my car note. There have been times when like I don't know, how I'm gonna get home because I don't have any gas in my car. But if you call me like, how you doing today? I'm like, oh, I'm great. Today's been a great day. Because that's joy. And that makes a difference on how, when you have joy, when you have true happiness in your life, it doesn't affect how you live your life and how you treat people and how you make money. So that doesn't influence me, and I'm not impressed by that kind of stuff.
I got you. Definitely understand that. That's a good way to look at it too. That's definitely a good way to look at it. Amanda, I'm a seller. What else you got before I keep going?
I wanted to touch upon the startup with Sam. How did you go about starting with it? And at what point in your journey you thought, I'm going to do this for somebody else? And make sure to be totally open, transparent, and also be yourself doing it.
Okay.
That was definitely my question.
I don't really know if there was a moment where I said that I wanted to do like consulting, because I associated the position of being a consultant, because I've had business consultants, I still do. And I associate that with being able to take you from 0 to like 100 and make like 6 figures. And I'm like, I don't even make 6 figures. How am I gonna teach people to, but I had recognized from, I'm not gonna say the beginning, because I don't even think people had faith in me in the beginning of my business, but maybe like after a year or so, or maybe like 6 months, and people saw how consistent I was and how I was growing and how things were maturing in my company. They always ask me questions, and I don't mean questions like, oh, how did you do that? But questions like, Sam, I'm trying to start my own thing, but I don't know how to actually turn it into a business. Sam, I'm trying to do this, and how do I? And I would literally tell people like, yeah, meet me at Starbucks, bring a notebook, and we sit there for 2 hours and I break it down. Of like, these are the things you have to do. Here's your homework. I'm gonna touch base with you in 7 days. Make sure you have it done.
Wow.
And when I realized
that's a good friend though. That's a real good friendship right there.
Like I said, I don't do this for the clout, because I want people to succeed. But I had recognized I was doing this pretty often, and I was giving the same advice. And it's just seeing other people who start their businesses, and as I had learned from my own personal consultants and going to events, again, and something that I tell people that they don't always think about. When I started my first business, my goal was to never be the best swim instructor. I don't care to have the biggest swim school in South Florida. I don't care to be the best swim anything. That's not my journey in life. It is not like a passion. There are a lot of swim instructors who have like this passion. A mentor actually in the swimming field, he's in Nigeria, And he has a swim school, and his goal in life is to have a huge, like the biggest swim school in Nigeria, and to have his kids go to the Junior Olympics, to train people in the Olympics.
Wow.
I don't care. I'm trying to stay in South Florida. Like, I don't, you know, but I recognize I never wanted to be the best swim instructor. I wanted to learn to be a good businesswoman. I wanted to understand, what does it mean to run a business, because I didn't want to slave every day. That was ghetto. It was just too ghetto for me. I'm tired of that. I'm sorry. Because I was working 14 hours a day swimming, and that was just the swimming. There's a difference between doing your business and running your business. Doing your business is during the times when we're open, but I still had to run my business. How can I run my business when I've been driving and swimming from 7, sometimes 6:30 a.m., depending on where I'm going, to when I come home 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night? And I've been wearing you know what it's like to wear a bathing suit for 14 hours? It's weird. Really weird. To be like wet and dry all day. Super uncomfortable. You know, and then to have the energy and be in the sun and deal with people, adults, kids, babies, crying, screaming, fighting. It was just hard. So I wanted to learn, how do I be a good businesswoman? And as I started to gain information, you know, and that's something that people don't do. They don't go to business conferences. They don't go to consulting. They don't get help. And when you realize, when you get help, life becomes so much easier, because they're giving you the keys. And so that's what I was doing. I was just repurposing the information that people have poured into me. And I was like, yo, because as I really became more refined as a business owner, I saw other people run their businesses, and no shade, but I was being shady. I'm like, you look raggedy. Like, it looks raggedy. You know, there's things that are unprofessional that you don't know are unprofessional, because you're not a professional in entrepreneurship. You're not a business owner. You're someone who has a little side hustle. Says, yeah, I got a business. Like, and there are people who run like these Instagram pages with, I'm sure they're doing this product or service legitly, but how your business been open for a while, you're taking people's money and doing stuff. Again, I'm sure you have great service, but then you're like celebrating the fact that your LLC finally came through. And I'm like, you was running illegally?
Oh, wow.
I'm like, ew. And again, they don't get it. They think, oh, guess what, y'all? We're finally an LLC. What were you before? Just a person?
Yeah.
No? And it's just different. And I recognize that when you know better, you'll do better, but you'll also grow and elevate. And if we want to grow and elevate as a community, as young people, as people trying to build their families, create multiple streams of income for people who want to lead, you know, not only themselves and their actual personal desires, and not be like our parents who had a job just to pay the mortgage, but I actually work in my dream. I work and I'm happy. I love to work because I work in my passion. You have to know how to do it properly from jump, right? Because you'll be missing out on so much. And I try to tell people, like, yo, do this the right way. Don't do it how you see everyone else do it. And so, you know, when, I don't know, it really started coming to me where I just wanted to help people. And I recognized on my Instagram, you know, I wanted people to see me as an expert. So my Instagram went from maybe pictures of me or whatever. I would start doing videos, and I was talking more, and I was giving advice. I was giving perspective. I was teaching people things. I was telling them about my mistakes. And then I took a leap of faith just to see if people would be interested. On my birthday in April, I was doing a giveaway, and I was giving away 4 consulting slots to people who would tell me why they wanted it. And I picked 4 strangers because that was important. Was it 4 strangers? Yeah, I think so. And I gave them an hour, and we did a Zoom, and I just wanted to learn about them and how I could help them. And I was like super official with that thing, boy. I was so proud of myself. And I just wanted to see, did you benefit? Like, how can I test my skills of what I know, and how can I help someone who was me 2 years ago get to the next step, or at least have a foundation? Not that you're going to complete it all, and I know it. I get it. But can I do something? And I recognized it worked. And that people not only received information, but I saw where I was like, I can actually do this if I fine tune these certain areas. But it made sense to me. I said, okay, so what do I actually want from this? And I realized that I just wanted to be that coach that people were afraid to get or didn't think that they needed because they weren't that person yet. You know, they weren't like this, they weren't this company that made 6 figures. So why do you need a business coach? Like, it sounds really intimidating, but if you want to run a business, you need a coach. You know, that's just what it is. If you want to do anything, you need a coach, you need support, you need something. And so, you know, I came up, again, I'm not creative, so I just did Startup with Sam. Multiple people had gave me that before y'all say anything. Multiple people had gave me that name as an idea, and I was like, I'm gonna just run with it because I can't think of nothing else. I made the logo myself this time because I'm so much better at graphics now. And I said, hey y'all, now I really can provide like this information that you need. Now I can actually truly guide you, because not that I don't believe in giving everything away for free, but I also recognize the value and the information that I have and the resources that I have now.
Makes sense.
Before, when I said that I don't mind being broke, I was a little dumb. But when you have enough information, you get to a point where you're like, I deserve to be paid my worth. Because reality is, y'all, I don't have no job anywhere else. You need to pay me my worth, all right? Like, but, you know, and there also is a time and place where you give stuff for free. There's plenty of times I still call people and say, listen, you need help? Let's just FaceTime. And just FaceTime me, and we'll sit there with a notebook, and I'll just spew out information, because I know when there's a time and a place for everything. But there are also people who need to pay for my services, because you're paying me $100 for one session, but what I'm giving you will make you thousands of dollars. It's worth it. It's called an investment. And if you don't know how to invest in an idea, you're not going to be very successful in what you're doing. And that's just it. Everyone needs to invest in their business in whatever capacity that works for you. But if you don't invest, you will never see the fruits of your labor. And that's where the second business came from.
Yay.
Well, hold on. I don't want you to, I need this one, Amanda. I need this one. So, as passionate as you are about Startup with Sam, I don't want to speak it. I want you to tell me, is there a way, or do you feel more passionate with Startup with Sam than you do with Swim with Sam?
Yes. The reason why, and I can say that very confidently, is because when I started Swim with Sam, it was more so that I recognized I could monetize my hobby and my skill sets, to create an income for me to then achieve other things. I never wanted to be the best swim instructor. I never wanted to be, you think I want to be out here having babies throw up on me and scream at me and scratch my face and pee on me when I'm 45? No. It was a practice business. It was something for me to learn, how do I jumpstart something that was safe. I started Swim with Sam with less than $500. I didn't need any fancy anything. I just needed myself, a kickboard, a bag, and a towel. You know, and I'm grateful. And I had really cheap business insurance, because I ain't going nobody else. And that's some people don't think about. Business insurance is important, y'all. But it was an opportunity for me to learn, a really safe space for me to learn, to fail, to fall back on. And I'm grateful for it. I really, really am. And, you know, people may not understand all of the ways that I failed, because not that I faked it, but I did a really good job of putting my wins out there. I did a really good job of like putting the points of like how you can see my growth, because seeing my growth is really important, because there will always be failures. The failures will never stop, but you have to recognize my growth so that I can show you that I can help you achieve growth as well.
And I'm sure you kept progressing. Even if you might have stumbled a little bit, you kept progressing. You didn't just stop. You kept progressing, I'm sure.
Absolutely. You know, I recognize like running a business is kind of like, you know how to say the stairway to heaven? And you can never actually see the top of it because it's just clouds. But I think of it as if that stairway was like an escalator. Like the steps are never, ever going to stop. You just keep going up more and more, you know? But as I also tell people too, even with my consulting, you can't see growth and have change if you don't start. If you don't walk up a step, even if you fall down 8, you can just keep walking and back up. But if you don't take that first step, you're never going to see it. And that's the hardest part for people. And that's why, you know, I do believe that like Startup with Sam more so, I'm not saying it's it for me, but it definitely goes more into my passion. Because my real passion, like I thought before, when I was younger, that I wanted to be a motivational speaker. You know, that I thought I
I
wanted to
can
be a
see that
teacher.
though. I can see
Exactly.
that.
Like I actually thought I wanted to be like a motivational speaker. I thought I wanted to be a teacher. I thought that I wanted to like, I don't know, build people and be like this resource center for that when people have problems, they can come to me and then I can direct them to where they can go so they can be successful in their life. I just didn't know what that was. I remember for years, I was like, what is this? Like, what is this thing that I want to do? And I just couldn't figure it out. And then, I did my first business and, I recognized, okay, I'm kind of equipped a little bit to do this second thing. And I recognize, and even in the first business, I was still working within my passion. And that's the thing. You don't have to do a business where it's outside of your comfort zone, but it can still be it can still be within like your internal passions. My passion was not having babies throw up on me in the pool. My passion was teaching and motivating people. And as a swim instructor, I'm your teacher, I'm your life coach, I'm your therapist, I'm your parent. Like my platform was all about eliminating fear, that I teach people to be overcomers. I teach people how to not allow the things that look scary to actually scare you because you're completely in control. That's what I taught people in the pool. And that was so exciting to me. That's really what motivated me because that's what I'm good at. That's why I was a good swim instructor, because I connected with people based on my actual passion, not just teaching, And so with the startup business, it allows you to have that same passion of achieving your goals, not being afraid, being willing to push past your own personal barriers, because it's a life journey. It's running a business is your like coming of age movie. And it really has been for me. I do this series called Date Night. Every Wednesday I go live on my personal page. And it's an expose on the emotional, mental, and spiritual battles that we go through in entrepreneurship that no one ever tells you about. And so, my biggest thing that I talk about there is like exposing my personal battles and those hard parts, because it was me overcoming those hard parts that allowed me to continue. And like startup gives me being in like this field of the startup business, and being seen as, that business expert, or at least in the startup phase, like I'm someone that you see as credible. It allows me to be vulnerable. It allows me to impact people. It allows me to touch lives because we connect now, because you see me as a resource. I'm finally that resource center. It may not have been in every field that I thought it was going to be in. And it is at least introducing me into this lifestyle of being your resource center, of being your coach, of being your companion. I always tell people like, I'm your co-director, I'm your creative consultant. I'm your business partner in this business that is going to be your dream. Like, how does it feel to have someone who's here to build your life with you? That's exciting, and that's what I've always wanted to do. I just didn't know how to make that a reality. And now I have this opportunity and I do it every day.
That's what's up. So how do you, all right, now you kind of did the entrepreneur. So how do you balance that out with personal and everything that you're working on? Because I'm pretty sure that's not an easy task.
Oh, no, I don't know. I'm being honest. I know lots of people, because I know you share on the pages or you hear them talking in YouTube videos. Yes, I have my self-care schedule and I do this, and every day I take a break. These days I nap, or I ensure that I always have my child, whatever. I'm not there yet. Like, I feel as though, because entrepreneurship, again, is that staircase that, in this, I'm trying to phrase this right, in the atmosphere, there's different levels of our atmosphere, right? Just how the oxygen levels constantly change in the atmosphere. What you see in the atmosphere changes, just as well as when you go into space. Space is constantly changing depending on how deep you go into it, whether you're inside of our universe, whether you're outside of the Milky Way. It all changes, right? So the deeper that I get into this journey, my needs change. My job description is changing. My daily schedule is changing. My surroundings and my environment are changing. And therefore my schedule it just can't be consistent, because I'm not consistent, and not in a bad way. I'm just constantly evolving.
Mm-hmm.
And I've come to terms with the fact that I will never be the same. Every 6 months, I'm a different person. And I love being that way, you
Oh,
know?
you answer my next question. Go ahead.
But I have to change because my understanding changes and I'm growing and I'm developing. I'm a young woman. I will always be growing. I will never peak. I tell people that I ain't never gonna peak. I'm gonna be that 92-year-old woman who's out there like trying gymnastics, you know, skating. That's gonna be me, because why should I? You know, so I used to tell people, well, when I first started, the very, very first year of being an entrepreneur, I worked 7 days a week for 9 months straight.
Wow.
And swimming, driving, being in the sun, working with people 7 days a week, 9 months straight is a lot.
Exhausting.
And I remember I experienced really severe burnout. And it was in 2000, so it was 2019. I had to take 2 weeks off. So I went on vacation.
Where you went, girl? Where you went?
Girl, I went to Puerto Rico. So I'm half Puerto Rican and I'm half Jamaican. I had never been to Puerto Rico before. So I planned a solo trip to Puerto Rico. And
really?
then,
Solo?
afterwards, it was great. I was there for like 5-6 days. It was wonderful. I would and because I recognized that I did not practice enough self-care that was necessary for me, and everyone's self-care journey is different, but because I wasn't practicing self-care that was important for me, I was overindulging in Puerto Rico. Let me tell you what I mean. Every dinner that I had, because I wouldn't really go out at nighttime because I'm just a solo traveler, and I was also tired, but every dinner that I had, I ate whatever I wanted. If I wanted, you know, bubble tea, but I also want a carne asada, I'm going to get them both. And then I eat them back in my hotel room in the bubble bath as I watch Family Guy on Hulu.
You was living
every night. I said, I deserve this.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I took 2 weeks off. And I know, because it was the time of my birthday, and I was like, I don't want to work. I said, I don't want to be responsible. And I think that is a point. As I kept saying that over the years, I recognized that I'm not doing something right. Because I keep saying, I don't want to be an adult. I don't want to be responsible. I just want to do whatever I want. Why do I have to be pushed to the edge to finally get to a place where I want to do for Sam? Why do I have to work and then feel like I hate people and be like, let me take some time off to love myself so I can love you again? That's sad, you know? And my second year, I had recognized that every 3 months, even though I started to have more of a schedule and like I swim 5 days out of the week and I had these 2 days that were my off days spread out in the ways that I saw fit for myself at the time. Sometimes it wasn't back to back, like, you know, Sunday, Monday. Sometimes it was like a Tuesday, Thursday, depending on what I needed. But then I recognized every 3 months, I have to take like 4 days off. I just need some time. Because everyone has quarters and seasons, and I wasn't recognizing my season. So every 3 months, I think the first time I did like a little staycation. Definitely overindulge as well, spending way too much money. I still wasn't and it's a practice skill, y'all. Like, when I tell you that staycation, I got an Airbnb. It was just in Broward. Like, I didn't leave. I went to like the zoo in Boynton Beach. I had bought like whatever food I wanted. I booked a massage. I booked a facial. Like, I was like, got my nails. I was like, whatever I needed. Like, but then again, it's like, why do I feel as though I have to do all of this all at once for me to feel whole again, for me to feel as though I'm making the most of this? And it's a journey, just like there's a journey in understanding how to be a good business owner or how to be better at your field if you're not an expert in it or you don't have a lot of experience in it. There is also still a journey of healing, because when you work, you're beating your body down. So how do I recover? What is my best recovery schedule? And I was talking to not a medical doctor, she's a PhD doctor, and we're talking about an event, and she wanted to talk about self-care, and she said she recognized that a lot of millennials discuss self-care, and their understanding of self-care is circled around materialistic things or services that we do that we believe feed our soul. We believe that, you know, resting and taking a bubble bath and doing a little face mask truly makes us feel better. But just because Amanda needs a face mask and that actually makes her feel whole, that don't do nothing for me. Like a face mask not gonna fix me. Getting my nails done not gonna fix me. What are actual personal things that I need to be doing for me to feel whole again? And that's why I would overindulge, because I thought that those things, that's what they tell me. That's what the world tells me, is that I need to relax and eat and nap. And I'm like, I know that doesn't work for me. And it took me later on in my second year, I recognized that self-care for me was my time of self-reflection, of being more introspective, of really having like a little self-analysis. So what I did, I think the first time I ever had real self-care was in 2019. I took myself out on a date. I just went to like Bahama Breeze. I just went alone because it's my favorite restaurant. And I had a notebook. I brought a notebook and a pen, and I had a list of questions that I wanted to ask myself. Like, Sam, do you feel happy? What has life been like in the past year? What do you actually want? Why are you still doing this negative trait? Do you like this part of yourself? How do you want to change the situation that you're in? Let's talk about your goals. How is like your love life doing? How is your relationship with God doing? You need to apologize to yourself for all the things that you did that was hurting you internally. Like, until you are able to apologize and truly love yourself, you cannot practice love and be an effective business owner. Like, that was my real self-care time. And I remember I just like sat there maybe like an hour and a half, ate my little meal, had my little dessert and my drink. And I answered the questions, writing it down. And I felt so fulfilled when I left that restaurant, because it cost me $17 to have real self-care for the first time. And that's all I ever needed. And I just didn't know, you know? So for me now, as I, again, am understanding what is my self-care journey in this space of handling multiple platforms, different businesses, but also because I've been learning more extensively about marketing, about recycling content. Like, there's just a lot more in business that I've learned, and it requires a bit more, and I'm really still trying to understand it. And I'm very transparent with people that I don't know what I'm doing all the time, that I'm still practicing, that I am just trying. I do not hit the mark all the time. Very rarely do I hit the mark. Like, it takes me months to fully grasp a new concept that I've learned in entrepreneurship, and to practice it and actually put it out there. And people see it, they're like, wow, Sam. I'm like, shut up. My coach told me to do that 6 months ago. And every day I tell him, like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Every meeting, I'll be like, I ain't do it. And all of a sudden I do it. I'm like, yeah, this is easy. No, it wasn't. I'd be lying. So my self-care journey, as I'm understanding it now, more so has to do with like, am I cooking food that I like for myself? Is my space clean? You know, like, do I like the way my hair looks? Am I wearing clothes that actually make me feel pretty? Am I doing activities when I'm not at work? And I have done so much better at having like enjoying my non-work time and actually cutting off work for the day. I never used to do that. But now I recognize that, hey, when I kind of feel like I don't have anything else, I know I'm done. I have scheduled time. Like, me and my roommate have a date night thing. We eat dinner and connect. I know that in date night, like, hey, I can have a sip of wine and relax. I also know that on Sundays we do a paint night. And that's like a personal hobby of mine, of painting. And like, that is my time to like, just, I don't think about anything else when I paint. I don't worry about obligations, even though I know tomorrow I got work. I don't think about anything. I'm just enjoying this moment. And that's taking me 2.5 years to do. There ain't no little face mask. And ain't no trip to Puerto Rico. Okay?
That's how I feel when I do painting. I just stop thinking. Don't have to worry about anything. I'm in the zone. You're focused on that one thing. And it's just like having a moment with yourself and reflecting with every brush stroke and stuff like that. It gives you like sense of relief and accomplishment when you do that.
Absolutely. And I wish I had known that 2.5 years ago, before I spent thousands of dollars doing other things that I did have fun doing.
But that was an experience. That was an experience,
and you know
though.
what? And that's what I tell people. It's okay to make mistakes, because the mistakes are great stories afterwards. The good and the bad.
Sure.
You know, and even though I had a really, really great time doing those things, they weren't necessarily 100% beneficial to my goals and my financial goals. But you know what? I can still say that I took my first solo trip out the country. Not really, because Puerto Rico's a part of the country, but out the United States. That I did all these, it's okay. Whatever happens, happens, because you always have time to fix it, and I've definitely took me years to figure out that concept, but I always have time to fix something. I ain't dead yet. And until I'm dead, I always have time.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Like, as long as you live and you got breath in your body to make it happen.
Of course. I got one. Hold up, Irv. I got one. So if you can give a piece of advice to a young entrepreneur right now, what would it be?
Oh man, just one?
I know. You got so many gems during this whole entire podcast. Gotta narrow it down to one.
She dropping gems too.
If I had to say one thing, it would probably be, don't focus on being perfect or being consistent and what you think consistency is. Just focus on not stopping. And those are two very different things, because you can feel like you need to be perfect and have the highest quality everything and get it to a certain level to be this consistent person who does something every single day, or you don't have to. Because as long as you are trying, you are learning that even if you post 3 times a day and you stop for a month, it doesn't mean you give up. It just means you pick back up. And that is the concept of not stopping. That consistency doesn't need to be for you. What is for you is to learn to not stop, because that builds character.
You hear that, Irv? It builds character.
For sure.
Just so you know.
For sure. Well, I had a quick question too. While you're motivating,
just throw that.
While you're motivating others, is there a particular person? I know you said you had your mentor, but is there anyone else that motivates that you look up to or motivates you to keep doing what you're doing? That you speak to that you might be feeling down, and this person definitely lifts you up.
I have a couple different people in different areas. Okay. Because I've just kind of learned that, at least for me, there's not really that one person who like fits the mold, because I may have people who emotionally make me feel better, but they don't know nothing about business. They're just like, it's okay, Sam. And they'll make me feel better in the moment and make me laugh. While I do have some people who are actual entrepreneurs and they're my business coaches, and, they're saying the logical things that make sense, but emotionally I'm still crying on the phone. So sometimes I have to hear it from different people. Like, I talked to my business coach, Josh. Him and I are great friends, and he definitely helps me out with like the tangible steps that I need to take. We talk every week because I got to stay in the meeting every week to make sure I'm on point with my homework. But I definitely like have friends that I call when I am just emotionally overwhelmed. So sometimes when I talk to him and I get the tangible side, I just still don't feel well. And I need that emotional side. And so I know who I need to call, or I know that I need to do an activity, or I know that, maybe I should take tomorrow to just do this. I've learned basically how to pick myself up off the floor is what I'm saying, and not everyone just needs one hand. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you need 2 or 6. I got 6.
Well, do you think it's important to have a good team around you? Like, 'cause it seemed like you was able to do everything on your own, or not? What? Okay. Talk about it.
You need a tribe. People like to say, like, there's no such thing as a self-starter. It's impossible. Because to be a self-starter means that you have to own all these platforms and can make these deals yourself, and you don't get help from anyone. But that's not true. You may lead the company on your own, even if it's just you working, but there are people who are networking with you, who are building you and getting you into these arenas, that are connecting you with these people. They are still a part of your team. From 2 months when I started with Swim with Sam, even though I was doing well, I knew I was a hot mess. I knew I needed help. So I was looking for teammates. I was looking for business coaches. I've actually had like 3 or 4 business coaches since I've started my entrepreneurship journey. I got people who deal with social media. I got people who deal with graphic design. Like, I just wanted to work with people and to help me understand. My website guy who built my new website is now like one of my greatest friends. And we talk about business and he helps me as well. You always should ask for help. Don't ever believe you shouldn't ask for help. Like, you can do it on your own. You ain't never started a business before, but you know, like, how would you feel if some kid came up to you and be like, I can tell you how to fix that problem? You'd be like, shut up. Think about that towards yourself, really. Not that you're incapable, but it's just that you don't have the experience. And it hurts me when I see people who have zero experience in business saying, yeah, I have a business and I'm doing this and my schedule is this. I'm like, how do you even know that you're doing something right? How do you even know that you're on the correct path? Because it is so easy to be busy, but doesn't mean all things that you're being busy on are making you money. It doesn't mean that all the things that you are busy on are actually going to be long lasting. It doesn't mean that those things, like those meetings that you're having and all that work that you're doing, is actually going to create any kind of income or be any kind of real project for you that you can use later. You don't know. You have zero perspective, and you're getting information from people that you see on social media, but you don't have a coach who is there to like learn you, to learn about you, everything that you need. What are your goals? Where are you at? What is your experience? Then to then help you through these small steps. If you don't have someone like that, how do you know what you're doing?
Yeah.
You know? And it's worth it. You can get free coaching anywhere. I'm not even saying pay for my stuff. You should, because I know what I'm talking about. But even if you don't, get free coaching. Find someone who wants to learn about you, specifically you. Don't follow these general guidelines, because that's not you. And no one who has ever been successful ever followed the general guidelines. They always say they were different. And if you want to be different, why are you not doing different? You can't do different all on your own. It's impossible. I'm sorry, it's not.
So how do you stay so positive?
Oh, this is just who I am.
Yeah. That's how she do it. Ever since I met her, that's how she do it.
It's so funny you say that, because I'm reading this book that my brother just sent me. It's by some woman who writes books for women, and I'm not really like let's say I don't support women, but I guess that platform where it's like girl boss babe, boss lady, like, I'm not really about that. So like the name of the book was just very like hyper feminine, and it was like the 10 glam commandments. I'm like, what the hell? And that's just not my style. Like, I'm just really chill. Like, I used to be a real tomboy, so I'm like,
yeah.
You know, Amanda
we both were.
And so, you know, a part of the book tells us to talk about self-love and writing 3 things that we love about ourselves. I remember the last thing I wrote was that I really love how positive I am. And I'm not quite sure why I'm always positive, but I have always been that glass half full person. I always can, even when I am breaking down or something really, really bad happens, like, I just bounce back really quick. It's just something God gave me, and I'm grateful. Because there have been times, like, I remember one time I had met this guy, and we were going to go on our first date. And I literally got in the car the day before the date. And as I was driving home in a different car, and I called him like, hey, can we talk for a little second? He's like, yeah, what's up? I'm like, so I just got in a car accident today. And he was like, oh, you okay? Do you need to cancel tomorrow? I'm like, oh, no, I'm fine. I'm definitely seeing you tomorrow. You know, today just been a little rough. That's all. I just wanted to talk. Like, you know, I just don't allow it to beat me down, because my car was not drivable. I definitely had to get some work done. It's not like, I got a little fender bender. It's like, nah, son, this got to go to the body shop. Like,
oh, wow.
Kind of car accident, like, kind of cost me like $1,500 to fix kind of car accident, you know.
Oh, wow.
But I just don't let it bother me, because I can't. Because one thing that I recognize is that if you want to quit and give up and like pause, you can pause, right? It's so easy to pause, but the world actually keeps spinning, and it's just a lot harder to jump back in when the world's been moving without you. you know? And I don't want to, I went through that one time when I was younger, and I just never wanted to do that again. I just felt so out of touch. I felt behind. I felt very out of control. And sometimes when traumatic things happen to us, or problems, bad situations, things we don't like, whatever, happen to us, and we feel out of control because we're hurt and we're upset and we wish things could change, it is going to be so much worse if you just give up. Because I can quit entrepreneurship right now and let the world spin without me. And I just feel like I have to catch up and like explain to people why I have a job now, why I don't do this anymore. I have to start, like, I feel like I would just feel out of control of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to do that. That I know if I'm operating in my purpose and I'm doing it with passion and I'm influencing people's lives, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. I just saw a post actually about Jay-Z, and it said, Jay-Z is a billionaire. And he started at 26, and he's 50, and he's a billionaire. You could be poor for 10 years and all of a sudden make $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for the journey. You know, there have definitely been times where I'm like, how am I going to pay my bills? What am I going to do? But I just didn't stop. And I just kept going. I kept trying, even when I was crying. And, you know, I feel like I'm not allowed to quit.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's really a concept that people feel, but that's how I feel. Like times when I wanted, and even younger, not doing this, just as a kid, I just wanted to quit. Just wanted to give things up. I'm like, I don't really get that option. You know, I'm not quite sure why I feel like that, but that's how I feel. Like I actually had a time when I was younger and I was suicidal for a really brief time in my life. And I remember it was the medication that I was taking. And I remember like I had the thought of like, yo, like take this knife and like slice up your leg, Sam, just bleed out in the tub. Like I remember I thought that. And I was holding it and I'm like, I can't do that. You know?
Wow.
I was like, I can't do that. I used to have thoughts at that same time in my life of like getting in my car and driving the wrong way on I-95 and just waiting to see how long it take me to crash. And I would literally like look at the door and I'm like, I can't do that. It's just something that stopped me because I'm not allowed to do that. And if I made it that far from 16, struggling a little bit financially, personally, emotionally, spiritually, all of that, I'll survive. And eventually I'll come out on top. And I'm personally so much better off than I was 2.5 years ago when I started doing this. So I think I'll survive.
You're definitely a testimony, like for sure, man. That's you definitely have a testimony for people to hear. But my last question. I mean, I don't want to. I know we've had you for a minute so far. What do you see yourself? Like, what's your goal? Like, say 5 years from now, where Swim with Sam and Startup with Sam. What do you see there?
Only Jesus knows. And I say that realistically because I've had goals and then I don't achieve them, not because I was doing something wrong, because life changes. And I recognize I don't run things, like God runs things. And so I feel as though I'm just kind of here for the journey. Like I'm intentional about what I do. Maybe I'm just not quite at a point where I can create, maybe I'm not at a point where I have mastered certain skill sets that will allow me to make that long-term goal and actually build towards it, because I'm still mastering certain things, you know? And I used to feel bad about saying that. I used to feel bad about not being able to accomplish these goals. Like, what's wrong with me? Why didn't I do this? I said I was gonna, now I can't do it. But I recognize maybe it's just not a part of my journey just yet. Maybe I have to get my feet wet in these certain areas. Maybe I do need that 5 years, 10 years in to be qualified for that goal that I want. Just because you got a goal don't mean you're gonna achieve it. Just because you want it so bad don't mean you're gonna achieve it. You could pray all day, but God also says no. And sometimes you have to be qualified for the things that you want, you know? And I truly, truly just believe that I just have to wait until I'm qualified. Like, I know that there are pathways I can take. You know, like, for example, my first goal with Swim with Sam was actually, my first big goal was to build an aquatic center in the Black community. Like, I already knew how I wanted it to look. It was going to have all these pools, all these programs. I already gave jobs to all my family. I'm like, yeah, you can be doing this.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
But then my vision for Swim with Sam changed, you
Okay.
know? And then, like, not that my passion was there, that the need is still not there. But where I was, again, to build a facility
Mm-hmm.
and to run programs and to do, that takes a certain level of expertise, of experience, of confidence, of knowledge, of money, and you know what? I told you, I come from poverty. I remember one of my birthdays, all my mom could do was buy me like a tub of ice cream. We would eat it. She was literally crying. She was like, sorry, I can't do anything for you. Like, I don't have the expertise or the knowledge for some of these big goals. I have very, very big goals about things that I want to do in my life. But until I have the experience, maybe I don't quite know how to put the pieces together. And that's okay to say that, because I talk to my coach and sometimes he talks about things that I can be doing and they sound so far away. I'm just like, how do I do that? Like, I know what that is. I know what it could look like. Like, I don't know how to do that. And those are really small things that he talks about. That's when I recognize, I'm like, Sam, you're just not there yet. And that's okay. So don't really have these 5-10-year goals for my business.
That's understandable.
Because they're still forming.
Yeah.
You know, who they are.
You've answered the question.
Yeah, like who they are fundamentally are still becoming. I'm still becoming, you know, what I may want. I can say that, hey, I want to do this. And then I ended up getting, what if I get married and I have kids and I end up moving to a different country? I'm like, yeah, everything changed, y'all. You don't know.
True.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm kind of here for the journey that God puts me on as I'm learning about myself, as I'm practicing my faith walk. And also, if I don't have faith, like I just told you, I was reading a book about confidence. Like, I'm obviously still working on myself. If I don't have confidence in myself, I can't have confidence in my business. Like, people say that everyone that I talk to with my consultant, they're like, I want to make $1 million. I'm like, you can't even handle $2,000 and spend that efficiently. How can God trust you with $1 million to really make that work for you? I know I can't handle $1 million right now. Like, shoot, give me more than 50K. I don't know what to do with that. Once I pay off my debt, I'm not no, literally. If I had enough money to pay off all my debt and the things that I need to handle, I literally don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
How I'm supposed to spend that extra money to improve my life. And that's important. And if I don't know, I would rather not have it, because I would hate to have it and waste it. So I'm not prepared yet. And then until I'm prepared, then those things will be accessible to me.
I got you.
So I'm just waiting. So ask me in 5 years. I'll let you know.
Right. We'll definitely check back in 5 years and see where you are. You are. You got anything else for Amanda?
Well, I would say
here for the questions. I got time. I'm always ready.
My question was, if you had 3 adjectives to describe yourself, one being personal for 3, and 3 for you as a business owner, what would it be?
So the first one is personal. The third one is about business.
So three adjectives for yourself personally. 3 adjectives for yourself as a business owner.
Ooh, child. Okay. For myself, I'm resilient. I'm definitely like joyous. And I'm impactful. I hate the word influential. People be like, I got fans. Don't nobody care about you. But it's important to be impactful in the people that you touch. For business, I would say, it's not just one word, but I'm open-minded. I am always listening. And I think for number 3, I am authentic.
I feel it. I feel it. I be
Yeah.
stalking your IGs. I feel it. Every single time, Push Sam is going live. And I'm like, there it is.
Yeah, she definitely
Listen,
sending it to me too. When she sees it, she definitely sends it to me for sure.
I just tell people, I'm like, y'all might as well just put an alarm clock for 8 p.m. every Wednesday. I'm like, I don't know why you don't, because this stuff gets real. Like, I really, even as you see now, like, I really do try to dive deep. I really do try to be transparent, because these small things that I have experienced can be really big for other people. And, you know, I honestly think when we're talking about being prepared, right? So before I became a business owner, a lot of personal things happened in my life. And I started my business when I was 22. Was I 22? How old was I in 2018? Like, I was 22, and you know, a lot had happened in my life in at that young age of 22, like car accidents, like near-death experiences, like toxic, like abusive relationships, negative experiences with family, dealing with poverty, like daddy issues, and like sexual issues. Like there's so much. Like if I ever had the courage to talk about like my real personal life, people will be astounded. And I'm like, yeah, all that happened. Like throughout me still trying to follow the scale of like how a young person is supposed to accomplish these goals and finish school. And like throughout all of that, all of this was still happening. And I truly believe that because though all those things had to happen to me before 22, so that when I started my business, when things happened to me, they didn't crush me. Like I have been in so many car accidents, and I'm not even saying, I think that I be driving, chill out now. I know people be just mentioning, y'all call them, but situations have happened to me and really weird trends. And I literally feel like the devil was like attacking me in certain areas. Like, what you doing? Like, you coming for me? But it was to strengthen me. Like, you know how triggered and traumatized people are after a car accident?
Yeah.
Right? Imagine being able to go and have a car accident and just come home and don't even say nothing about it.
Wow.
That's where I'm at. You know, where things can happen to me, not just brush it off. I take a deep breath. I'm like, all right, what's next? Let's make some calls. You know? And you have to be like that. And so I feel as though I'm a very warm person, but experience has calloused me in areas where calloused my strength so that it's firm. Things can happen to me, it's cool, and I bounce back. You know, and that bounce back definitely had to be strengthened for me to do what I'm doing. Trust me. Because if let's say that I was weak, but if there was a version of me who hadn't gone through all of that, I don't think I would be capable of doing what I'm doing or even have the willingness to do this at all. I would have quit a long time ago. I wouldn't have ever even started.
Definitely glad you didn't. That's for sure. Definitely glad you didn't quit. I got a question too. Matter of fact, I'm curious now because you said you're half Puerto Rican and you did say half Jamaican, right? What was that like growing up like for you? Like, how does that work for you? How did it work for you?
Well, I look very Hispanic and I recognize that. But I was actually raised in my Jamaican family. So I was raised with Jamaicans and some Southern American people. So Southern as in like the South, not South America. Just want to clarify in case anyone got confused listening to this. So I was raised in like a very Jamaican American home. I consider my mom is very pro-Black and very ingrained and very educated. My mom is the smartest woman I know. I speak like this because my mom speaks 10 times smarter than me. All right. And
Shout out to mom.
she is so educated about Black history, Black culture, why we do the things we do and where we came from. And she had always told me to look at myself in the mirror and like see a Black person. And so it was really rough growing up when people look at you when they don't see a Black person. They see a Spanish person or a white person, you know? That was probably like the hardest part of growing up, is having to like prove my Blackness to people. And I never really considered myself to be Hispanic. Like I'd say, yeah, I'm half Puerto Rican, but that didn't really mean anything to me because I wasn't raised with my Hispanic family at all. I don't speak Spanish. My last name is very Hispanic. So when people see it, they start speaking Spanish. I was like, wrong person. Definitely not the one. And you know, I think, I don't even know when it finally like hit me of just not letting any of that bother me, of me having to validate my race to other people or my Blackness to other people. In high school, it definitely wasn't there. I actually went to a very rich white high school, but they would tell me that I was too Black because I didn't, I spoke a lot of Ebonics. Like I never really like enunciated when I spoke. I wouldn't speak. I speak very professionally now because I speak a lot. But before I'm just a kid. I'm just talking. Like I have an accent. I don't care what I say, you know? And so white kids would hear me and they associate the way I speak with Black people, like Black culture. So they would say that I was ghetto and that I was, you know, they made me feel like I was too Black, that I should tone it down. You know, like I would speak and the kids would mimic me and like this trashy Ebonics, and maybe like it would make me sound stupid. And I'm like, I'm not stupid. I go to this school for free because I'm smart. Y'all got to pay. Probably how you got in. Like, you know, I had a full scholarship. Amanda, do you remember Miami Country Day?
Yeah, I got in too, but I didn't go.
I got like a full scholarship for 7 years.
That's what's up.
Full ride at a school where lunch for 1 year was just 7 G's.
Woo.
All right.
Whoa.
That's how smart I was. But the kids would not make me feel, they made me feel like I was like this monkey. And I felt so disrespected. And I think that's when I had to start speaking out about my race. And, you know, when Black History came around, I remember they didn't really have, out of 1,000 kids, it was a K through 12 school. Out of 1,000 kids, which, you know, was already small for that number of grade levels, it's like 50 Black people or less. Wow. You know, definitely less than 50, actually, probably like 30 of us.
At your time, it was definitely small.
It was small, you know, and it was, so that Black History was trash. It was like a 40-minute assembly in the gym. With
probably
some
all about Martin Luther King.
You already know. And
the ones that white people like.
Because I would, it didn't feel good enough to me because I'm like, y'all don't really understand what being Black is because you associate with this because your understanding is so small. So I remember I took it upon myself to, like I think I started out with these flyers, just a regular 8x11 paper, and I would print out influential people in Black history who you don't hear about. There are like 100 of them. And I remember I laminated them in the office for the free ski. And I would tape them on like every classroom door. And I would I spoke at a faculty meeting. Ain't no student goes to a faculty meeting, but I did. And I said, listen, like I'm here to try to educate your students of Black History Month, you know, and I would give the elementary teachers curriculums to help the younger kids understand inclusivity and Black culture and Black history. You know, I remember I was going to speak at the Black History Assembly, and I started speaking to teachers, and that's when I really started to put my foot forward and speaking out about, again, an injustice that I felt, because you know how I feel about equality, and we are all the same. Don't be picking on people. We don't do that here, you know. And they were picking on me, and I'd be frustrated because I'm like, why don't all the other Black kids say anything? Why aren't y'all standing up? Like, why do I have to be the voice? You know, and there's a joke in Black culture in general that light-skinned people always got to say something about Black people. Like, Why are the
Yeah,
light, like,
I've
there
heard
are a
it.
lot of
Yeah.
moguls in Black history that are really light-skinned. And I
Yeah.
truly believe it's because our race is always, we feel discriminated, you know, because we love being Black.
Mhm.
And people tell us that we aren't good enough in whatever
Yeah,
capacity, but we
I've
be
heard
knowing
that.
so much about Black
Yeah.
people. And we're like, nah, you don't get to do that to us. You don't get to tread on me, for real.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first time I really started speaking out. And that's when people listened to me for the first time. Like, adults actually listened to what I had to say when I was speaking with purpose and passion, because my passion is about equality and justice. And I think that's the first time I had strangers listen to me, you know? And I knew
Right.
that my voice had a platform. I had to figure out where it is. Not that I really necessarily figured out where it is, because Instagram ain't it. But I knew as an opportunity, again, for me to practice, for me to be more of an influential speaker, so that when people listen, it isn't just, oh, you know, Sam's talking real good the other day, just like side conversation. But Sam is a person you need to listen to, because she's here to educate and guide you. There's more to it. And it's taken me years to refine my speech. Like, speaking on this podcast, as I'm listening to myself, it's probably the most refined, slowed down that I've spoken with such less stuttering, slurring in years. And I still know that when I listen to this afterwards, I'll be like, damn, I'm talking fast. Puerto
You doing
Rican. That's
good.
the
You
only
doing
part. That's
good.
the Puerto Rican part of me. Is that
That's what
really,
it
really fast. And I don't know how to stop. But like I said, everything is a practice skill. But if I didn't speak all the time, I wouldn't know that about myself and actively try to fix it.
Right.
I don't even remember what your question was, but we've gotten here.
You answered. No, you answered it. But I did have a follow up, kinda.
What's up?
When you like saying Black enough, I know you heard what's been going on when they announced that the vice presidential would be Kamala Harris, and it was like what came up was she's not Black enough. Did those things resonate with you because you already know what you had to go through when you were growing up?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I really don't look at the world in black and white, and not as a race thing, but I mean in terms of good and bad. Well, like yes and no's, good and bad's, absolutes.
Okay.
There really aren't many absolutes in this world.
It's a lot of gray area.
Exactly. And so everyone's understanding of Blackness is different. Everyone's understanding of representing the culture can be different. For some people, it's the way you look. For some people, it's the way you speak. For some people, it's the actions you do in this particular field. Like for some people, they could say, a Black woman who's in politics, amazing, amazing. While some people are like, are you a Black woman in politics, but are you actually passing laws that are in this particular field? Oh, you don't? I don't care. Or they could say, oh, you're a Black woman, but you have permed hair? No, you're not really Black. Everyone is different, you know, and not to say that there's a time to judge, but I recognize where I'm like, that's okay. You feel that way? It's your personal choice. But guess what? You ain't the vice president. Oh my gosh, you aren't the vice presidential candidate.
Yeah, that's what I forgot to say. Vice presidential candidate, yes.
So that's just it. And it's usually the people who don't have the platform, who are not in the same position, who always have something to say.
That's actually what me and Amanda always talk about. Like we spoke about that, I think one of our first episodes about cancel culture. And it's like, it's usually the people who aren't in that position who feel like they have to say something about what someone else is doing.
Yeah.
So
the reality is, Kamala may not be what all Black people wish she was, but Kamala is a Black person in a high level political position. That's amazing. Kamala is the first Black female presidential, any kind of presidential candidate, like vice, whatever, it don't matter. Like, you're the first person.
And that's needed. That's totally needed for young girls of any race to see. Like that's
whether she wins or not, whether you are validated by her or not, whether you like her or not, because maybe the person that you actually like saw Kamala and be like, you know what, let me try now. Doesn't matter if you like them. I'm only there for 4 years. Dang. What
Well,
you did 4
maybe,
years ago, you don't even remember. Like,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah,
Maybe if she gets it, but that's
yeah,
the thing. Like, we get so hung up on things. I'm like, it's all temporary, y'all.
yeah.
Really not
Well,
forever.
I feel like that's what happened when we had President Obama. A lot of men or boys saw somebody that they could aspire to be, and I feel like with
Mm-hmm.
Kamala, I feel it's the same thing where a lot of girls and young ladies could see Kamala and see as somebody they can aspire to be. I think that's very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
So,
man, but what I don't like is them tearing her down because I'm hearing that she's not black enough, and I like to say I just thought that would resonate with what you told me, with you being Jamaican and Puerto Rican.
yeah, the black part, what is your association? Because if you really want to break it down to bare bones, you can. Black is not a culture. Black is a race. Race is a social construct that was created for us to separate. The reality is there's only 3 races in this world. There's black, white, and Asian. That's it. And the reason why there's only 3, because that's based on the looks that we have, right? Every Spanish person is a black person. It's really what it is, right? So you're associating culture, which is actually based on geographically where you live. Like black culture is black American culture, maybe tied in with some Caribbean possibly, but that's what you associate with black culture. But if you recognize that some of the things that are black culture of us is also very Asian culture of us too. So is it just black? Not really. We're all, it's just geographically where you live. We're just people. Like I said, we all the same person. We all just live different places and have different experiences. So I only
But like you
think
said, it's about separation too. Like you said, it's about separating people. Yeah.
And black people just use the term like black culture to unite us because it was used as a means to separate us. That's all.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Oh, I was going to ask you, tell our audience what you have going on.
Oh, yes!
Yes.
Girl. I got caught up in the questions. I almost forgot. So in my consulting business, I'm doing my first workshop. It is called Monetize Your Life. And it's a 3-part series. It's a 3-part series that teaches people how to leverage their 9-to-5 experience and launch a business instead. And I teach people basically how your job has been equipping you with the experience that you can use to start your own business. I teach you how, that's the first day. The second day, I teach you how to actually find out who am I actually going to sell this to? Like, who can buy? How do I identify my target market? Because when you know who you're selling to, that's how you actually make your money. Because your business is not for everyone. There's not one business that is for everyone. And you think you can name one? Like, oh, well, if I sell toothbrushes, everyone needs toothbrush. Well, the people that don't brush their teeth. The people who don't find it important. People be like, I don't need a toothbrush. I could just use my fingers, or I can literally. There is not one product or service that is for everyone. So you have to find the people that find your product important. And day 3, I talk about how you can actually start, and not just say just go and do it, but give you tangible steps, resources, and opportunities to make. To create your pre-launch, to really get out there, to start working on something that you can see and create and people will pay you for now. It doesn't take forever to launch a business. You can start now. You just don't know how to start now, but you can start tonight. So yeah, it's a 3-part series. It starts next week, Monday on the 12th. And it's every Monday at 7 p.m. It's 3 days. So it's the 12th, the 19th, and the 26th at 7 o'clock. It's from 7 to 8. And it's just for people that register. So if they go to my Instagram page and the link in my bio, there's a registration link. And they can go ahead and
what's the IG?
Oh, the IG is push_Sammy, SAMMY. And you can go ahead and look at the first registration link that's there.
Well, also, why you doing that? You might as well let them know about Startup Sam and Swim with Sam as well. How do they reach
All right, then, let's do it, y'all. So, like I said, my personal IG is push_Sammy. That's where I'm always talking about business, myself, and challenges that I go through. I discuss. I'm a little shady because I'm talking like directly to y'all about things that you're not doing, things you should be doing in entrepreneurship, to give you more of an inner look on like what this life is like. Then I have my startup business, which is Startup with Sam, which you can find on my page as well. that is strictly about how to create your first business, how to go from being a consumer to a producer, how to change your mindset, tangible steps that you can take, information that is important to you, and how you can get consulting that I offer to help guide you specifically so I can be that director that you need. I'm your co-creator. I'm your business partner in your specific business to help get you off the ground because I want to help you launch a business. I also have my other business, Swim with Sam, which is based in South Florida, where you can learn to swim. And we have some instructors who are experienced, who love to teach people how to swim, that want to help you to be an amazing swimmer, help get your kids to be amazing swimmers. We work with people from as young as 4 months old to adults 99 up. We help with special needs kids. We do swim training. We help people train for triathlons. If you want to do an Ironman competition. Also, if you have a swim exam for police academy, EMTs, any kind of trade position, we offer specialized swim test prep lessons that are helped to get you through your exam. Or we run through your exam several times so you are 100% confident. Everyone who takes our swim test lessons, that does all the lessons and trains effectively, they pass 100% of the time.
That's what's up. Hold on. I have one more question.
Go ahead.
About this, about the swimming. How was it when you were doing it by yourself for a while? Mm-hmm. What was that transition to bringing other people on board to what you were doing?
Oh, that was a mess. I did that all the time. I told you, I'm very transparent. Like I thought that I needed to take these particular steps in this way, and do them now. And they were just falling apart. Like I thought I needed an assistant and I had this person work and I realized, well, I'm giving this girl work to do. I'm just wasting money. When I hired my first group of people, I wasn't hiring people who were necessarily skilled and experienced swim instructors. They're just very good swimmers who like kids. Two different things. I thought that I could train them myself and do all this extra work. And I had bought them uniforms and we did this photo shoot and the uniforms that cost me so much money because I kept buying the wrong ones, getting the logo put on them and all the information. And then I let all of them people go.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I let them all go. Either they quit because they couldn't hold on to the obligation, or I fired them. And then I got new people, and then realizing how there's so much turnover in our industry, which I should obviously know because I've worked in this field for years, but it didn't really hit me for a while. And then recognizing, okay, maybe I shouldn't be training them. Maybe I should just find people who are only experienced in this field. And it was how do I get them to stay? It was a mess because again, I'm so unfamiliar with being an employer. It's very different. Managing people, I would forget to do their payroll. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was supposed to do payroll yesterday. So people get their money late, they gonna quit. But luckily they didn't. How to keep up communication, how to make sure that I am overseeing and make sure the small things are done while still doing my job. There's just a lot of gap. And again, grateful that I was working in a business that it was safe, it was a safe space. I wasn't selling people property and the property was bad or I wasn't doing none of that. And I really do commend people. Honestly, I commend people who can jump into these really profound industries by themselves, not by themselves, but from the ground up, that had no experience and they've worked their way up. I commend them. That's just not me. And that's okay. I'm doing business my way. And really this small sphere that is helping to grow me and develop me so that I can eventually get there and that I can be this person who is responsible enough, because I wasn't responsible, guys. I had to learn that even with hiring people, I wasn't responsible enough to do things at a particular time and to contact them when they always called me and to make sure I didn't always have my ducks in a row. I had to find that out the hard way. And something that I always say when I do my lives, never, we be so focused on what we're good at, but we never want to talk about what we're not good at. And when I was real with myself for the first time about the things that I'm not good at, I had so much less stress because I wasn't putting myself in situations to fail. Because I'm no, I'm going to just not fail. I'm going to just do it. Ooh. Sorry. somebody had called me the ghetto. I'm like, how? I was like, my phone's on do not disturb. How could you have called me? But yeah, I was like, I'm not putting myself in situations to fail because I recognize where my capabilities are. And there were just a lot of things that I was pursuing that I was not ready for, equipped for, didn't have the experience for. I was not saying I was leading myself to fail, but I wasn't equipped to succeed. And that's just a better way of saying it. But the reality is I was leading myself to fail. That's being real. But I've had to be really real with myself in the past 2.5 years, because you try to live off your clout, if you try to live off what other people tell you to do, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. So the transition with the swimming has probably been the hardest part. And it definitely, again, Swim with Sam is my practice business, my first one. It's taught me so much about things I never want to do again.
That's good.
And maybe,
for sure.
I'm still figuring out what will start up with Sam be. What is my next business going to be? What are other platforms that I'm going to have? Do I really want to manage all of these people completely under me? I don't really think I want to do that again. Maybe it would have to be an alternative. Maybe it's working with a company that just manages those people for me, and I just hire through the whatever it is, right? Like, I had to realize what I like and what I don't like. I don't think I want to be that person. And like in my building, I have my office building and I'm in the CEO's office in the back, and then my assistant reports to me I don't think that's going to be me.
Yeah.
Because that's not really what I want. That's not what I like. It's also not what I'm good at. And it's okay to not be good at something.
Yeah.
True.
That's what's up. All right, Amanda, I'll let you wrap it up. We definitely appreciate your time. Like, you've given us a lot of good content. You dropped some gems.
Yeah, you dropped all of it. Dropped all the does.
That's what
go ahead, give them.
I'm here to share.
Yeah.
Give me your social media one more time so they definitely can follow you and reach out to you.
Yes. So you should just follow _Sammy, because that has everything where you can find my Swim with Sam page and my Startup with Sam page. Push Sammy, push is actually an acronym. So push stands for push until something happens.
Okay.
So it kind of falls into my philosophy of like, you just can't stop. You just got to keep going. Like, something gonna figure out. We gonna get together.
I like that.
But push _Sammy is me. All my videos, I have a lot of videos up of me talking. I share a lot of information. I'm always providing resources, and I'm always available to talk. My email is there. People can DM me questions or schedule for a free call. I do a free 15-minute call. If you're not ready to pay for my fee for my consulting, we can talk about your goals, how I can help you, and what you need from me.
That's what's up. Go ahead, Amanda. I'll let you wrap it up.
Yay, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here with us. Definitely appreciate it. Again, follow push _Sammy on her social media. Bother her, get to know her a little bit better. Definitely go for the consultation. I went for myself, actually, and it was pretty detailed. It definitely was something insightful and something that pushed me to the right direction, because keep on pushing until something happens.
You have to.
Yeah, so it definitely pushed me in the right direction, especially with my art business. Thank you for tuning in. Definitely check us out on YouTube, podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Again, thank you for listening. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being our first guest.
Yes, I'm excited.
Yes, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Y'all be safe and stay dangerous out there.